The November 2nd, 2023 working meeting of the Lincoln County Board of Education will now come to order. Welcome to all of you that's here. Thank you for coming. Mr. Abbott, thank you for hosting us tonight. We're most appreciative. Words of wisdom. Not all storms come to disrupt our lives. Some come to clear our paths. Is there a motion to set the agenda? Okay, Christine and Marvin. Vote. Gloria?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Marvin?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, we'll go into our discussion items. The Crown Porch Elementary presentation will be presented by Mr. Justin Abbott.
Thank you, Ms. Seda. I'd like to welcome you guys once again to Crown Porch Elementary School. Here's what the presentation is going to be like at a glance. I want to just revisit a couple of things since the last time that you were here.
Yes.
And then we're going to do a data dig. We're going to talk about some data. We'll look at our KSA performance that just recently got released, our counseling programs, attendance, and some staff survey data that I have for you. I've asked my instructional coach, Ms. Nicole Isaacs, to talk a little bit tonight, and also Ms. Rita Hampton, our first grade ELA teacher, is going to do a little bit of a presentation using the interactive whiteboards that we have now. So when you're here last year, we talked about, well, it wasn't last year, it was last school year, it was in April. We discussed some of the initiatives that were ongoing at the school. We were working on aligning our curriculum instruction assessment using evidence-based resources, our multi-tiered systems of supports, and our PLC protocol. And that's stuff that's ongoing. Something I'd like to just point out is we were using a calculator, a proficiency calculator, to determine how we felt like we were going to do on the KSA, and we were projecting what kind of scores we might see. I'm going to share that with you. I'm going to share the results of that with you tonight. We're pretty excited about. So
I'm very excited.
So we'll get right into it. I have here. I have 2003 scores. That's the new scores that we have out. And in comparison, we have the 2002 scores. So I'm really excited to say that we went up in every single area of the KSA measurement. I want to attribute that to our teachers and the amount of work that they put in over the course of the last school year. In reading and math, we had an index score of 47.8. We went up 5.4 points in reading and math. We made tremendous gains in science, social studies, and writing. We went up 22.6 points. Our quality of school climate and safety, we went up about a point. We scored pretty high on that in the beginning, so it's hard to make huge gains when you score high in that already. And then our overall index, we predicted would be about a 51, and we ended up getting a 57.2. We came out of the orange performance rating and into the yellow, and we increased our score overall by 12.5 points.
Wonderful.
I just want to talk about our counselor really quick. This compares the data that we had for her in by month in 2022 and 2023. So you can see she has, on average, she has 60 to 70 individual sessions with students every month. And you can see the different things that she's doing. She's seeing kids, she's seeing groups. She's also helping perform threat assessments, risk assessments, and she does outside referrals too. Here's some attendance data that I just want to share with you. Our goal is to have 96% attendance. The blue line that you see is last year. We started off pretty strong, and then in October, I think everybody got sick, and our attendance went down. So we've been a little bit more stable. The green line is this year. We've been a little bit more stable with our attendance this year. Miss Johnson, our guidance counselor, she actually has attendance groups that she meets with. We have the The FRC director, Miss Gail, she's working with some families on trying to remove barriers on kids coming to school. And then lastly, I just want to talk to you about a staff survey that I sent out this fall. I was working on my own professional growth and I wanted to get some input from staff. Some of the things that became pretty apparent based on the questions that we sent out, the staff continually said, our school is very inclusive and genuinely caring. We have a clear mission, vision, and direction, and the administration communicates that frequently. We have systems in place that promote student safety, and the amount of instructional support and feedback either meets or exceeds the teacher expectations. Now, some of the things that those were all positives, but some of the other things that came out of it that were items that I could focus my school improvement on and my own personal growth. Our teachers said that a lot of our teachers said they struggled managing the amount of time that they had with the kids. We went from some 60-minute time blocks in the intermediate to 90-minute time blocks. So how do we best utilize that time? Sticking to their particular schedule. I know some of our teachers get caught up in what's happening in the classroom. They lose track of time, and the learning is important, and sometimes sticking to that schedule is difficult. And getting required paperwork complete. Those are things that they said they needed help on. And the areas that we can grow as a school is taking time to celebrate all the great things that we're doing. We need some additional behavior support in classrooms, and how do we ensure that we're all equally yoked and pulling in the same direction? Excuse me. So there's some data. It's just a snapshot of things that we're looking at. I'm going to turn that over to Miss Isaac. She is instrumental. Excuse me. She's instrumental in a lot of the things that we do here at school. I know I personally could not do the work that I do without her. I would like to publicly thank her for all the dedication that she has to her school and everything that she has a lot of talent. She brings a lot to the table. So she's going to talk about some of the big things that she's been working on.
Good evening. My name is Nicole Isaacs, and I'm the instructional coach here at Crab Orchard. Mr. Abbott kind of came to me last week and he was like, I'd like for you to touch on some of the things that you do here to help improve student achievement. So that's kind of one of the things I'm going to go through. One task I'm responsible for is completing informal walkthroughs. So that is where Mr. Abbott and I will kind of pop into 4 or 5 classes weekly for about 15 to 20 minutes, and we'll just kind of observe and document what's going on in the class and what we see. These are not for evaluations. That's not my arena. That's Mr. Abbott's, and so it's just more for an opportunity to provide some feedback. So it's just a snapshot of what's going on at that time when we pop in. Last school year in November, we pulled this data from the walkthrough document, and we discussed the data that we observed in our PLCs. Throughout the day, Mr. Abbott and I posed some questions to provoke the teachers to reflect on the information that they were seeing based on our walkthroughs. During the day, several different items kind of came up grade by grade, but one common concern popped up, and that was the low number of higher order thinking questions being asked. In fact, we were only observing during our walkthroughs 1 and 2 level questions. So, for those of you not familiar, so here's our data. This was at the end of November. By that point, we had probably looked September, October, and November. This is the questioning that we had observed in those walkthroughs. So, those of you not familiar with education lingo, I want to briefly kind of go over what is higher order thinking. If you refer to the chart here, level 1 questioning typically kind of hovers over questions that just have students recall information, remember facts or information that they've learned. When we talk about an example here, it might be label the parts of a plant or list 5 presidents. That's information that they can quickly, if they've memorized it, they can quickly pull back out. And so those are just basic level questions. If we look at 2, that's where we're looking at a more of an understanding. And so we look at questions like, describe the character traits of the little red hen, or estimate the answer to 68 plus 32. They have to have an understanding and grasp the concept to be able to move to that part. Level 3, we're getting into level we're getting into more application things. Again, they can recall the information, they have a grasp of it, but when they get to the application, they can put it into action. They have to have a true understanding of it, and it has to be meaningful to them to make those connections. So an example of a question there might be, how would you change the experiment for a different outcome? In science, they have to truly understand the concept of the science to make a change to that. All right. We utilize this a lot, and this is our power verb wheel. And so all teachers have this in their classroom, and most of them have it kind of hanging up where they can access it quickly. And so again, these are some verbs that they can utilize when developing those questions. And it's broken down in a circle version like the chart that I just showed you. So you may wonder, what is the issue with asking level 1 and 2 questions? The dilemma that we ran into is with asking those questions is we're not really meeting the true rigor of the standard, a deep-rooted understanding of those standards. And so we weren't preparing our students for critical thinking as they moved through the standards. For example, if we look at this first grade standard, ask and answer questions to help determine or clarify the meaning of words or phrases in a grade level text. Okay? So that's kind of hitting that lower level thinking skills for our first graders. But as we move through and we get to 5th grade, our students need to be able to determine the meaning of general academic and domain specific words or phrases in grade level text and analyze how those words and phrases shape the meaning. Analyze is a big deal for our kids. That is not concrete. That's not something that they can grasp, they can see, they can touch. They have to know it, and it's abstract. It's outside the box. And so we aren't preparing our students for this type of standard and rigor if we're not asking the questions down here at first grade level to build that knowledge and move them forward. So, what were our next steps? Based on the teacher feedback from those PLC meetings that we had, the observations that he and I had conducted, we needed to act. So, we needed to increase the frequency in which our teachers were asking more higher level questions. It's not that they weren't asking them, it's just the times we were popping in, we weren't seeing those questions being asked. So, Mr. Abbott and I discussed it, and we modified our PLC protocol. And so what we do is each of our 9 weeks, 1 week is identified as a certain topic. We modified that, and we kind of cut out some things so we could add in this because it was a 10. It needed to be taken care of. And so we explicitly went over strategies to better integrate the higher order thinking questions. I provided research-based articles that supported the purpose and the need to ask those questions. We went over strategies like Kagan questioning tools. We provided opportunities for teachers to provide peer feedback on those questions being asked in their classes, and we even deconstructed some of the standards so that they could pull the power verbs out of those standards and develop some questions that were explicit to that standard. One of our most recent tasks is I requested the teachers bring a standard they were going to teach. And during that PLC, I actually had the teachers to develop 3 questions using Kagan Q dice. And so they had 2 sets of dice with question words on it, and they kind of rolled it, and they had to create a question using those. They could use this during their next teaching lesson. Sometimes those deep, thoughtful questions come up during discussion. They are authentic. The kids might pose them. It might just show up, but a lot of times they don't. And so it's important to be intentional and to have some questions pre-planned. Alexander Graham Bell said, before anything else, preparation is the key to success. Our goal as school admin are to assist our teachers with that preparation. And I feel like the work we've been doing in our PLCs is providing that support. So, what's my evidence to support that we're moving forward and making progress? Here is the data from our current walkthroughs, and this is the end of October. As you can see, we have increased our number of level 3, which I am pleased with because the first few weeks of school is spent mostly covering previously taught content. We're reteaching, we're reviewing, trying to catch kids back up from that summer backslide. And Mr. Abbott actually shared with me that there are 6 teachers who selected questioning and discussion techniques as their goal for their PGP or their professional growth plan. So to me, that lets me know that there is support from the teachers. There is a buy-in that they are invested in this movement as much as Mr. Abbott and I are. And so I look forward to continue working with them as a team and continue to see us grow in this area. Do you all have any questions for me? All right, thank you.
I just think it's wonderful that the teachers are invested. Because that's, just rubs off on the kids, and that's how
It
you get
is.
it done.
Well, and some of the teachers were with the Q Dice. They were so excited to use it in their class. They checked those resources out from the office and they put them into action in centers in their classroom. So they're putting it on the kids to develop some questions about the information. So again, if we go back to that stair-step graphic that I showed earlier, that moves our kids more to that remember understanding. They're applying their knowledge then, because they have to have an understanding of that content to be able to develop a question about the content.
Great job at your explanation.
Thank you.
And Ms. Isaacs, did you say all teachers have access to the power verb will?
Yes, I actually did like a little binder ring, so they all have some sentence starter statements that are hitting at different levels as well. So if they're struggling to kind of come up with the phrases or words, they have those sentence stems as well.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Ms. Isaac does it like this. She does a fantastic job. She does a lot of action research right here in our building. She and I collaborate on a lot of this stuff, and then she gets the idea and takes the plans and makes the stuff work. You're next, aren't you? Right? Yeah, come on. This is Miss Rita Hampton. We have an all-star team of teachers in our building. I mean, they're great. One of my biggest priorities as building administrator is to put the right people in the right spot on the bus, and I feel like we really hit it out of the park when we got Rita. She's very innovative, and she has one of the new interactive whiteboards in her classroom that she's been using. I've went in and observed her use those. I got to go in and use some with the kids too. They were showing me how to make the TH phoneme correctly, and Miss Hampton's going to demonstrate how she uses the interactive whiteboard to increase student engagement in her class.
Like Mr. Abbott said, I am Rita Hampton, and I was lucky. I was one of the lucky ones to get the whiteboard. I have been harping on him about this for a while, so I feel like it came to me because, well,
Squeaky wheel gets the oil,
yeah, the
right?
squeaky wheel gets the grease for sure. But like Mr. Abbott said, I love researching about what I do. It's just what I do, I guess, as a way to say it. But one of the things I really and truly love about my whiteboard is it takes away the transition. Like, even though my desk is right beside my board, I would still have to go and switch between slides or tabs on my computer and constantly well, now I can have it all up at the top and it's ready to go. And that, because if you have 22 first graders, idle hands are bad. So we are constantly engaged, constantly switching through everything. So I love it. It helps keep everybody on task and everybody on target. One of my favorite things, Mr. Abbott actually stepped in for me whenever I went to do some peer observation, and this is what he did. I have teaching slides that drive my instruction, my whole group instruction for pretty much everything, and these are the exact ones that he used. I'm able to manipulate and do whatever I need to do. But these are the slides he were working. So, and I seen it as a view only, not thinking, I don't know. I don't share a lot. I do my own thing, so I'm not used to collaborating yet. It is super new to me. But they manipulate, like they're able to manipulate all these little letter tiles. And before I had my whiteboard, I had little pieces of paper that had all the graphemes and everything on them, and they were magnetic. So we were able to do the same activity. It just wasn't as hands-on and interactive with them. So they're still, now they can manipulate the sounds and actually move them. What it normally looks like in my classroom would be all my students would have a whiteboard and a marker that they would be working on it with, and then I have popsicle sticks because it just keeps the fighting on I want to go kind of thing down. So you pull a popsicle stick, and then after they prove it on their board, they can come up and actually touch the screen. And if you've been around kids lately, anything technology based or anything interactive like this is what's going to keep their attention. Like, they love it. So they really, I do this, and then I have, hold on, hers is in the wrong spot. She needs to move that. Sorry. Another thing that I really do is we do, a lot of word working in first grade. We're continuously, working on those, fundamental skills. So this is just an interactive, if you know anything about Orton Gillingham, you know the blending words and changing of like the phonemes and making the words. So this just puts it life size for them. So I'm able to say, like with the day that Mr. Abbott came and we've been working on digraphs. So I'm able to say we worked with TH, and they could come up and they can, you know, manipulate and build the words. And then I can be like, I need you to change the vowel sound to this vowel, and they can get up and manipulate it as well. And it just keeps it's a life-size video game for a little 6 and 7 year old. So they absolutely love it. I also, my end goal is to be able to use it to help as a center eventually. We're not there yet, it's still way too new. But my goal would be to be able to use it as a small group independent center so that I can help provide more targeted like intervention, or even just like a more targeted lesson on something that they're struggling. And this is something we are still doing as a whole group, but they're boom cards, and again, they're self-checking, they're interactive. It makes the sound so you're easy, you know, like even if I'm working with a group, I can still hear if, oh, my kids are missing them, so because it'll make a donk sound if they get it wrong. So we're able to, they can read and then, you know, manipulate the frog to where he goes. And this, they love it. Like, again, it takes the having to stand on your head and keep a 6-year-old engaged for an hour and a half. It really helps to keep that more active. And like I said, we can transition and get, boom, like I'm not having to flip through all my cards that are on the wooden board. I'm able to do every bit of it on the board, and it just helps to keep things moving, because an idle moment is rough in first grade. But, and I know I talked to Miss Sumner and some of the other teachers, and they've done nothing but, you know, spoke very highly of them. They use them every day. I don't use a lot with the document camera, but Miss Kathy came and she showed me how to, you know, if you had a physical piece of paper that you wanted to show, they have everything. Like it works that way as well. So it really has. And even if you have a piece of paper up, you can still use your tools and like mark up the paper. Like if you wanted to put a X over something, or if you needed them to circle all the R control valve things, you can. The possibilities are endless. And like Mr. Abbott said, I research and I find ways to use things, so I'm continually figuring out, oh, this would be a cool activity to do. Oh, this is a neat game we can play. So I love it. It's been a game changer for the last couple of weeks in my classroom. Another thing I did with mine was I had to be out of the classroom last week, and I typed up my sub plans in a Google Doc, and I left that pulled up, like I pinned it to the top, because it's just like a computer. I pinned it, and my sub was able to have every single thing that they needed linked on that Google Doc, and all they had to do was like click the links, and it just took them straight into everything. So it helps if you are having to maybe do an impromptu sub day. It really helped. That wasn't impromptu, but you were able to leave it to hopefully assist them to be able to, because it's different. If you've ever subbed and you come into a classroom, it doesn't matter how well the teacher's prepared. It's just you're not their norm. So I was hoping, and she said it worked really smoothly. So that was another neat thing that I did with mine last week. So, but I do appreciate Mr. Abbott taking me.
You could have told me no.
So Miss Rita, you got the first
sorry,
part,
Miss Ed.
correct?
I was in the first round.
We had a
Yeah,
couple.
That's great.
I think each school got couple few, and then I just knew how innovative Miss Hampton was with her instruction,
Have
and I
research and everything.
wanted to get one in her hands.
Miss Ed knows I like to do it.
And so the vision for that is if I can get that first wave into some innovative teachers' hands, they can get familiar with it. So when the next wave comes, now they're the experts that can help peer teach. So that's the goal.
I think I know the response to this question. I'm gonna ask it anyway.
Yes,
Have you found kids more attentive
mm-hmm.
by
Yeah.
using this?
Yeah, they definitely want the opportunity, because they know if they're, you know, not paying attention, not doing what they're supposed to. Because I I fully am aware that if I just did it and just picked one kid at a time to work on the whiteboard, nobody else would be paying attention. So that's why I had them have the whiteboards and they have to show me and they have to manipulate it themselves. But yeah, you have very few people that are doodling on their whiteboards. They're all working so that they can try to get the opportunity to come to the board
Might be
for
their
sure.
turn, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question for Darren. Now we've got them all at the high school
In the middle school.
and the middle school, and then what is your
Well,
plan for?
well, we're gonna hopefully have another wave soon, maybe right after the first of the year.
Okay, and leave it up to the principal to choose
Yeah.
where they go.
Started at fifth grade.
We started at fifth grade and he had a
Oh, you
couple of,
started
he
at fifth grade.
well, he did numbers wise, and he had a couple of holes here, but
Oh,
if they're getting more reasonable and, just like he said, it really works well. We saw in the other schools, we get a few out there and get the teachers used to them, and that way, that second wave, they can train and do that with them, but, when we started this thing, we did have a plan to get them everywhere.
What, I know from the time we put them in preschool
Yeah,
classrooms,
that's
they
right.
were kind of the first ones. Has the price come down?
They have, and and really since we got those, Christine, I didn't really think about it, these have the computer in them. If you remember, those were just basically a
Right, just a
screen, a touch, that's a computer is what you're looking at there, I mean, it's,
About how much would one cost?
it depends, I'm a pretty good wheel and dealer,
I know,
2,500-ish,
yeah, well, that's a lot
Way
cheaper than
cheaper,
what we're
yeah.
paying.
yeah.
So it's all elementary, starting with fifth grade.
That was, numbers wise, we looked at the fifth grades, and,
Good.
yeah, that's what we did, so hopefully we can get another grade.
Great.
I mean, I'm talking, to me, it's just numbers, you know what I mean,
You're right,
yeah,
yeah.
to me, it's just
Yeah,
numbers,
about
but
that.
yeah.
But a great investment.
Right, yeah, well, it's, just like she said, the kids are, that's how they, probably, all the kids, just like me's got one in their hand right now, this right here, especially, this is what this is, that's what that is,
Yeah,
it's
that's
big.
what that is, yeah.
So the word we use for that is they're digital natives. I mean, I wasn't, I missed it by a little bit. But if you talk about increasing time on task, I mean, that's a big educational buzzword, increasing time on task, student engagement. That helps control your classroom management. It really is, it's a game changer. So, I'm gonna end with this slide just to kind of get some closure here. This is where we're headed now. We want to continue to implement, support, and monitor our co-teaching efforts. That came up in our needs assessment this past week. We had a ton of positive stuff about the co-teaching model, and as administrator of the building, I want to continue to support that. So our teachers felt like we needed to get on the same page in terms of PBIS and behavior support, so we're going to look at that. Recalibrating with all of our faculty so that we're all pulling together in the same direction. Like I said, we got a team of all-stars at our school, and if I'm coming in and I'm missing layups or I'm late for practice, then I'm gonna get called out. So that's part of our. It's a positive thing. It's a good part of our culture, but we got to make sure that we're doing it in a positive way. Our staff talked about the need to increase the variety of special classes that we offer. Currently, we just have a PE and visual arts class just because of the size and the allocations that we have. We're trying to reestablish strong parent-teacher relationships and parent-teacher groups. We actually had a parent-teacher group meeting this afternoon in the CAF. So that's, since COVID happened and nobody was in the schools, we're still trying to recover and get our parent-teacher group back going. We need to focus on some updates to our playground equipment. And then that last one, that's our vision, and that's what Ms. Jade just talked about, was to have interactive whiteboards in all of our classrooms. So again, I appreciate you guys being here. I will say, I did hear a student from another school come in and say, "Wow, I love these lights in the hallway." I was like, "Hey, this could be yours." I appreciate you guys coming. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Abbott, Ms. Isaacs, and Ms. Hampton. Appreciate it very much. Okay, we'll move on down to 4A, KETS offer of assistance, Ms. Leanne Smith.
This is something that we have every year, just asking the board to accept the CAT's offer of assistance. This one is in the amount of a little over $33,000. And what we'll do is we escrow that for up to 3 years so that we won't use it immediately, but you can kind of hold on to it for 3 years. And so, the technology money like this that we get, we do use toward items such as, a smart board. Darren can tell you a lot more, Chromebooks, anything like that helps with instruction.
Any questions, comments? Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on down to 4B, pay applications for the LCMS corridor connector.
That'll just be the, which is the good news, the final pay up for the connector. We'll get that next week, and, there's a couple of bullet points there. One of them, there's a change order for minus 28,000. That was just in there in case we had some unsuitable soils. That's always the architect word for that, so we didn't have to use that, so that's a positive. And the final pay-up's on there, $141,105.31. And we'll also, get approval of BG4, which is saying that we want to close this project, is what that is, mostly. So that we'll just knock it out next week. So the connector is, that'll be the final check mark on it.
So we'll close the project out
That's right.
next week.
That's right.
Okay. And you did say a credit of 28,000.
That's right. That first one that says the consider the approval of change order, that's a credit of 28,000.
Wow, that sounds good.
Yeah, we like credits, especially Marvin down there. He
We
loves
like
it.
credit.
What about our bubble? Where are we on that?
Have you seen it online, seen Facebook or anything? It's not there anymore.
It's gone.
So it's gone. So if you drive by there, you're not gonna see a bubble. So
Good.
they
I
started
know,
the
I've not been
demo.
by there,
They
good.
started the demo this week, and of course, they're still in the process of demoing, but the actual bubble itself is gone. It is gone.
Some of the people on Facebook that I'm friends with were talking about, oh, they were so sad
Oh,
to see it
yeah,
gone
yeah.
because it had lots of memories. I said, well, you don't have rain now, it just looks different,
Yeah.
it's safer, it'll be
It'll be
all right.
definitely a positive thing when it gets done, but
I used your saying, it'll be all right.
it'll be all right. Exactly.
Yeah.
It'll be okay.
Yeah.
It'll be all right. Exactly. But yeah, it's gone. It's not there.
Yeah,
Folks.
well, I'll have to go by and see.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay, we move on down to 4C, interpreting services for the EL program. Diana Hart, are you doing that or is Tish doing
I'm
it?
here.
Okay, Tish.
I'm just asking for permission to hire part-time or temporary services with a contract for the interpreter. We have a large increase in this population this year. It's the biggest I've seen it and the biggest level of need for interpreting services. We have 29 students whose parents have requested communication from the school in another language. And I just wanted to be on the up and up with having permission to hire those people as needed.
Do we look at this every year?
We should.
Okay, I thought we did. I'll make sure. Any questions, comments? Okay, thank you, Tish.
You're welcome.
Okay, 4D, possible EMS site at Kings Mountain, Mr. Ashley Powell.
Hello, well, thanks for welcoming me to the meeting. I came and talked to you guys about 2 or 3 years ago initially about trying to acquire property at Kings Mountain location. We're wanting to build an EMS station in that location to relocate the Waynesburg station a little further north. County Ambulance Board did an assessment about 5 years ago. They spent about $30,000 on an assessment firm to come in and look at response times to the different areas of the county. And that was a recommendation they had, was to move that station north. So we were looking in that general area of the 50127 area. And so I had approached the school board about trying to obtain property there. And it just kind of never progressed. And I know we've had some changes in administration here and so forth. So I just want to bring that back. We are still interested in looking at that. And I'd like to see about trying to move that process forward if we could.
Now, rationale said that was a have to 1 acre. Is that what you're looking at?
I would say at least an acre by the time we do septic system. We'll need at least enough for the septic system and the property, you know, to build and park and so forth. So I think at least an acre would be great.
Well, I was here then, Ashley. Where was you all thinking about? It's a couple of people asked me, and I swear I don't remember.
The last discussion that was had with the administrative people at the school, you know, the board,
Yeah.
was the property where it joins 1247, kind of the little wooded area there
On
on
the-
the left side of the.
on the north
of the
side?
building. Yeah, it's on the
Okay.
north side of the building, yes.
But you're okay with wherever?
Yeah, I mean, as long as we can get good egress, that was our issue. We had.
I couldn't remember if y'all was looking at 1247 or 27.
Well, we looked at 12, well, there was two discussions on that. One was we were concerned about egress off of the property onto 27.
Sure.
And then the second thing was on your all's behalf, if the school board ever decided to sell that property, 27 probably is gonna be worth more. And for us, it doesn't matter because we're not an advertising business, so.
Any questions? comments?
Wasn't it, at one point, wasn't there supposed to be an appraisal of the property?
No, not Kings Mountain. I went, it never got to me, it is, that was the case. No.
Yeah, that was,
I mean-
that was the last I was told, that
Yeah.
they were gonna get an appraisal.
Just for, I mean, I'd have to tell the appraiser how much, you know, we're gonna appraise an acre, we're gonna appraise, you know what I mean? I mean, I have to get a few details there to tell him, you know, but I can.
They just need some direction, I mean, that's the way the board's going, you're wanting to sell the acre, kind of which part, on the north part of the 1247 or the south part there, and just get that appraised. That's what the board wishes are.
So we're just talking about a small corner, an acre,
Be 1 acre, sounds like.
in one corner.
Where he's talking about, if we come, you know, from Stanford and drove in, it'd be that first corner there on the left where the pine trees kinda start and.
Just put a reading garden in it, planted a bunch of different kinds of
Just right there on
trees
the
right in that corner when it was still a school.
Well, I would not be in favor of selling any of it unless it was to an agency like this that's going to benefit the community. Because at some point, I think our district needs that property or think about using it at some point. I wouldn't have a problem with getting it assessed and then going from there.
I mean, we can, so, and I'm just, cause I was here then.
Yeah.
I mean, are you all planning on buying it? Cause that was kind of a question, or you want it donated? I'm just being, you know.
Well, I mean,
That
obviously,
was something that
any,
came up then.
any agency would love to have things donated, but yes, we are interested
Okay.
in looking
I
at
mean,
purchase
'cause you remember that
too,
was,
if
that was
that's-
something that came
it
up last
was,
night too.
it was.
There was somebody in the crowd that said that they knew where there was a community school work together, and there was a grant that if we would donate part of it,
Okay.
but I'm sure that grant's gone.
Well, and again, I would not be in favor of totally donating it because our district is in such dire need with our facilities and salaries and so many things that, I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I'm not
understand.
speaking for the total board.
What is your timeline? Do you have
Well, I
anything in
mean,
mind?
I'm gonna say from the time we acquired the property, hopefully to build within a year. That's kind of what I was looking at, but that was 3 years ago. I mean, so we've kind of been in a
That was
standing.
kinda right
for
around
3
COVID
years.
and stuff too, wasn't it?
It was just prior to COVID, I guess, when that kind of started. But we've updated all of our stations except that one in the south end of the county, so that's kind of our next priority as far as facilities.
What I can do at y'all's direction would be to, first thing I'll have to do is get it surveyed off an acre. If that's what y'all looking at, acre, is that what you need?
I think an acre's plenty,
Okay. You
personally.
get us, that'd be the first thing, then you get that acre appraised. Okay, so that's it. Of course, that's gonna cost a little money too, those guys don't.
And you want, would you enter it from 501?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I would come on that.
Yeah.
I know what
And
you're
that,
talking about.
yeah, that was kind of our thought process, because getting on 27 sometimes is a nightmare. If we need to get to 27, we use 501. But, actually, you enter the property off of 1247.
Sure.
Yes.
So do we need to make that on the agenda for
We can put it on, you know.
next Thursday for the?
So if the board looked at it and they said maybe the southern corner, or would you be okay there?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to go look at it, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I don't think the location matters as long as egress is not a problem and it's viable land to do what we need to do, so.
Do you have any other properties in mind in case this does not come
I have
through?
not looked at any
This
other,
is what you've really been looking
Yeah.
at.
yeah. But our intention is to be in that general area
Mhm.
and there's really, I mean, there's that corner lot that they're building something, they tore down and building something there, but I've kinda looked around, but I haven't seen anything that probably would be the best viable thing for us.
Dollar store beats you out.
Yeah.
In the corner lot.
Probably need everything else.
And while I'm here, if I could just say, of course, I'm the EMS director, y'all know, but I'm also the emergency management director, so I wanted to make sure you guys knew that. I was appointed in January by Judge Executive Woods Adams, and so if you all ever need anything on the emergency management side, I'll be in that role as well.
Did you take my brother's place?
Donnie?
Donnie
Yeah.
Gillum?
Yeah.
I thought you did.
Yeah, yeah, sure did.
Congratulations.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Colleen's not here tonight. Is there anyone here that has planned to speak publicly to us? Okay. We'll continue. Anything else before we adjourn? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion.
Okay, Gloria?
A second.
Okay, Christine? Vote, Gloria?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Marvin? Christine?
Yes.
And yes for me. Thank you.